Welcome to Matflix, video streaming from maternity experts. My name is Dr. Jenny Hall. I am the box sets curator at Matflix, a fellow of the Royal College of Midwives and a former editor of The Practicing Midwife. At Matflix, we bring together videos of talks from top maternity experts into box sets to support your continued professional development, study and revalidation. It is a perfect study accompaniment for midwives, maternity professionals, midwifery students and anyone thinking about a career in the maternity services. My job is bringing together the latest thinking area by area so you do not have to. Not only do you get the video of brilliant talks and relevant content in thematic box sets, you also get access to the audio version so you can listen on the commute or while you walk the dog. Plus links to the latest research in the relevant field, government policy documents, the presenter's PowerPoint and more besides. Sign up to Matflix now for the best video streaming from maternity experts. You're thinking, but I've never read about these midwives in the Bible, and that's because they didn't make it into the Gospels. Why was it that we nurses, midwives, seem so invisible to the doctors, to the media?
An amazing midwife said to me, you can't be what you haven't seen. These are the world's most researched probiotic, and we can say that with confidence because we've done over 300 clinical trials on this little bottle of goodness.
These awards, as you know, are a celebration of achievement, effort, change, innovation, management, insight, and the many other traits necessary to sustain a proud profession like midwifery and consistent services in maternity.
We invite people to nominate a colleague or a student or a manager, whatever, where they think that person's a real trailblazer.
And it's really a celebration of all that's good in midwifery and maternity care.
They recognise individuals, they recognise teams, management and educators. Anyone who values excellence and makes improvements. They are essentially a celebration of all of your achievements. So, shall we get on with it? What you do with your day-to-day lives, I just admire you hugely. If you do want to nominate a colleague, a friend, maybe yourself, please speak to the organisers and visit the website, and I really hope that we'll see you at that.
Okay, now the first award is... What's
nothing, I don't know.
We have had a 40% caesarean section rate in the National Maternity Hospital. That is major abdominal surgery.
Around 40,000 mums did not return to work in 2022. It's even more relevant if you're a mum who's experienced birth trauma.
We spend more money on litigation than we currently spend on the maternity services. It's bonkers.
It's in all of our interests, and particularly the government, to improve maternity services.
We can't achieve our mission unless we bring parents and professionals together.
A revolution needs to happen. We need to start working together.
I know it's a hard time, but for goodness sake, it's the best profession in the world. Be proud to be midwives, be proud of the job that we do, and continue to celebrate our successes. Midwives make a difference to women every single day, and let's not lose that. It's more important than anything.
Welcome to Matflix, video streaming from maternity experts. My name is Dr. Jenny Hall. I am the box set's curator at Matflix, a fellow of the Royal College of Midwives and a former editor of The Practicing Midwife. At Matflix, we bring together videos of talks from top maternity experts into box sets to support your continued professional development, study and revalidation. It is a perfect study accompaniment for midwives, maternity professionals, midwifery students and anyone thinking about a career in the maternity services. My job is bringing together the latest thinking area by area so you do not have to. Not only do you get the video of brilliant talks and relevant content in thematic box sets, you also get access to the audio version so you can listen on the commute or while you walk the dog. Plus links to the latest research in the relevant field, government policy documents, the presenter's PowerPoint and more besides. Sign up to Matflix now for the best video streaming from maternity experts.
You're thinking, but I've never read about these midwives in the Bible, and that's because they didn't make it into the Gospels. Why was it that we nurses, midwives, seem so invisible to the doctors, to the media?
An amazing midwife said to me, you can't be what you haven't seen. These are the world's most researched probiotic, and we can say that with confidence because we've done over 300 clinical trials on this little bottle of goodness.
These awards, as you know, are a celebration of achievement, effort, change, innovation, management, insight, and the many other traits necessary to sustain a proud profession like midwifery and consistent services in maternity.
We invite people to nominate a colleague or a student or a manager, whatever, where they think that person's real trailblazers.
And it's really a celebration of all that's good in midwifery and maternity care.
They recognise individuals, they recognise teams, management and educators. Anyone who values excellence and makes improvements. They are essentially
And good evening and welcome to this week's Maternity Midwifery Hour. My name's Sue MacDonald and I'm the curator for the Maternity Midwifery Hour and the Maternity and Midwifery Festivals, and it's my pleasure to be chairing the session this evening. And I have with me a wonderful midwife called Gaynor Morrison. Some of you will know, I hope. And welcome, Gaynor. And of course, what we always do to our guests is invite them to share a moment of the week with us. So welcome, Gaynor. Thank you so much for coming. Share with us your moment of the week. Please do.
Thank you for inviting me, Sue. So my moment of the week, harks back to Sunday, which was Mother's Day, which I think is very poignant in terms of what we're talking about today. And I got a very little badge that said Best Mum. And so I was wearing that with pride all day. And it reminded me of the photograph that I had taken. I don't even know who took it, but I had a photograph when my daughter was born at her christening, and she was being held by her godfather, and just all you can see is his arms, his hands, and his white shirt, and she's there all cuddled in, and that was the inspiration for the You Were Held project. So it ties beautifully with what we're going to talk about tonight.
Oh, wow. That is lovely. Thank you so much. That is really lovely, because someone was talking about sort of the little things of motherhood. I mean, actually, it was resonant with the snowdrop project of thinking about mums and all those little things that mums get, like the little pictures that you really treasure and pop in a little drawer forever, and a little badge and a sort of image of someone very precious being held. That's lovely. Thank you so much. Now we're going to let Gaynor have a little break before we invite her to speak. And it is resonating with me this evening, because this is now really 6 years since we started the Maternity and Midwifery Hour, and we started at the beginning of the first COVID lockdown in the UK. And it was a time when it was very stressful for us, and it was also when midwives, student midwives, other practitioners couldn't get together on study days or conferences. And we wanted something to connect people and also give some CPD and also information about COVID at that time, because those of you who were around then will remember how scary it was and how thirsty for knowledge you were to know exactly what was going on in your own service and all around the country. And initially we did talk a lot about the service changes that had to go on, especially with education of student midwives, and in the maternity services there were so many really innovative things going on, and also things like Zoom sessions, which suddenly we got quite good at doing, which has been fantastic, and we've sort of carried on with this. And so we do more of things that are of interest to midwives and student midwives, and all of those within the maternity services. And I need to say to you, don't panic if you have a power cut or you have to rush out. You won't miss anything, because everything in the Maternity and Midwifery Forum gets recorded, and you will get a link to the recording and you'll be able to catch up if you miss anything. Also, we love you to share, so it'll be good that you can share with your colleagues after this, especially this evening. I think you're going to find it very interesting, maybe a little bit sad, quite sad, I think, but also you'll want to share and talk to colleagues about what you might be able to do in your unit. So that's what's going to happen. Also, I'm going to give you a bit of a health warning about where all these recordings are kept, and that's in Matflix, which is on your resources sheet, which is available on the live feed at the moment. If you go into there, and you might have a link via your maternity unit or via your university, that's lovely. Or you can subscribe yourself. If you're doing a project or you're due your revalidation, it's quite a good way of getting lots of really interesting and up-to-date information accessible. But once you start looking at the Matflix, a couple of hours can go very quickly. So that's my health warning of that. Now, on news this week, there's been an interesting article which we'll share, I think, via the resources, which is from the American Association of Nurse Midwives, about intrapartum heart rate surveillance. And it's more about when I was reading, and thank you to Diane Garland for sharing it, is more about thinking about how we record fetal heart rates, i.e. using the old Pinard stethoscope. Now, those of you who are very good eyesight will see in my background, in that very full bookshelf I have, there's a couple of Pinard's stethoscopes, which are very useful if you haven't got the equipment of a fancy monitor. And it kind of reminds you that those sort of bits of technical gear may not always be accessible to you, and you always have your Pinard. And it's good if you get the skills of using that Pinard too. Now, the other thing that's going on at the moment is the RCM Education Research Conference. I wasn't able to go, so I've been very grateful to those people who went, who've been tweeting away and sharing information on Facebook. So thank you to all of those people. Now, the other piece of news is the Maternity and Neonatal Task Force has been kind of announced, and Wes Streeting is the chair of this group, and it's also got Jill Walton, Chief Exec of the Royal College of Midwives. It's got Alison Wright, President of the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, Claire Harmer, Chief Executive of SANS, and Helen Norman who's a Chief Midwifery Officer at the Norwegian Director of Health. There's also Baroness Merron, Health Minister, Duncan Burton, Chief Nursing Officer for England, Helen Gittos, Gary Andrews and Kathy Brewster who are family representatives, and Habib Naqvi, Chief Executive of the NHS Race and Health Observatory, plus Nina Johns, consultant obstetrician at the Royal Wolverhampton, and Helen Chain, our Professor of Midwifery at the University of Stirling. So it's a fantastic lineup, and I hope they're able to move midwifery maternity forward a little. Okay, now we're getting to the meat of what we're going to be doing this evening, which we're going to talk about women who may be at risk of separation from their babies at or soon after birth, especially and often through complex child protection issues, and how they can be uniquely supported through a very compassionate private photography session. And this is something that's called You Were Held project, and this supports mothers in managing the grief of being separated from their babies due to legal reasons, and to enforce that they are and always will be mothers, which is obviously very special. And to lead the kind of discussion, and she's the project lead on this, is Gaynor Morrison, who's an experienced midwife and lecturer, and she's specialising in safeguarding health inequalities and trauma-informed teaching methodologies. So her clinical work is focused very much on safeguarding and perinatal mental health, working closely with families and multi-agency professionals to ensure safe, infant-focused care planning. She's got a particular interest in babies born into care, and she's contributed to the development of policies and procedures within healthcare settings, as well as publishing research in the area. So you need to look her up. She's also a hypnobirthing therapist. I don't know how she fits all this in. Gaynor, how do you fit it all in? And she's also a semi-professional photographer specialising in natural light portraiture. And she leads this project, You Were Held, offering photography to mothers whose babies are born into care. And that's what she's going to talk about this evening. So I'm delighted that you're with us, Gaynor. Welcome this evening. Thank you so much for coming in. And the screen is now yours.
Thank you, Sue. So I'm hoping you can see the start of the presentation called You Were Held. There it is. Good. Sue and I go back to the 1990s when I was at Middlesex University writing up my master's, which was the focus on inequality and around babies being removed. And I was doing photography for May's Midwifery back then. So it's lovely to come full circle almost. And that when I last saw Sue at another conference, she said, when are we going to get some of your photos to show? So this is a real honour to be able to share them with Sue and with you all. So this project has come about by a collaboration really with Sharon Bumford, who unfortunately can't be here tonight. And we together had talked for many years about supporting women whose babies are being removed at birth. And we were in a safeguarding team together, and we talked about, what we could offer, what momentums we could offer. We were getting involved in local charities, getting outfits and toys and blankets and things that we could just send mum home with that might smell of baby and that baby could wear. And I kept saying, like, I know I can do something with my photography, but there was never space to be able to develop a project together because we were just frontlining, and the job came first, and that's where our focus always was, and there just wasn't space. When you're working in safeguarding, quite a lot of what we do as well is training, and so I went off and did my PG cert just to really give a backbone to the kind of training I was giving and making sure that the learners were learning the best they could from us. And then an opportunity arrived for me to become a lecturer. And so now I'm a senior lecturer at Kingston University. And because of that space and because of that distance and because I could take a breath, we were able then to come back together. And because we always knew the journey wasn't over when I left safeguarding team, and that anything that we were going to do or publish would be a joint venture. So I've called this You Were Held. As I said at the beginning, it was really born from an idea of my own daughter being held on her christening day, and thinking, gosh, that image was so strong for me. It's on my mirror every morning when I do my makeup, and I saw it in my sister's home at the weekend, and it just really reminds me of how lucky we were, how supported she was, and how I felt that she was always going to be really safe. And I think when you have a background of child protection, you are almost hyper vigilant about the safety of your own baby, probably. So I've called it a creative project, but I have been talking to people and calling it a passion project, really. And this week's really helped me to reflect on that. And now I have reframed this, that it's a compassion project, because I think that suits it more in what we're doing here. So the project is, the background to it is that there are around 3,000 babies born every year in the UK, and these babies are described as being born into care. And this work has come from Tobacco and also from the Nuffield Institute, who wrote sort of practical guidance for around babies born into care, and they're the ones that have also started the Hope Project, where again they're providing boxes that are filled with these momentums, and in the box is an STD card for images to be saved that are taken for the baby and for the mother. So many of the women themselves, as you know, will themselves have a background in childhood adversity and abuse, and there are many reasons why babies are removed at birth, and it may be complex safeguarding, it could be critical complex mental health, domestic abuse, substance misuse, or on the rare occasion those babies that are relinquished. And we know that these women, this particular margin of women, are more higher risk of death, and that also is reflected in the Embrace report. We know that if there are additional needs and adverse childhood events for the mother, then their risks are much higher. So this session really highlights the provision of what we can, the photographic service that I'm offering for those women that are at risk to being separated. And the photographs are part of a resource which is aimed at keeping that connection for the mother and the baby whilst those legal proceedings are ongoing, and to validate this moment and the magnitude of the loss and grief that the mother experiences. And the grief has been described as disenfranchised. And there's also been some work around the haunting, mothers that are left with these sort of ghost memories of a baby that was taken. Really powerful words and really powerful images. So we know that there is a dearth in midwifery literature, and I fully believe that's because safeguarding midwives are safeguarding and probably don't have the space, just like I didn't, or the brain space to be able to write up what's really going on there in the coalface. And I think maybe the wider audience, and I don't know, this is anecdotal, maybe there's a perception that when a baby's removed, it's the corpse that do it, it's the social worker that do it, it's the police that do it, when actually it's the midwife. And even though legally the police are the only person that can remove a baby from its mother under a police protection order, I think for years and generations, a midwife is the one that has said in lots of different ways, okay, it's time, or, you know, I'm going to take your baby to special care now, or, you know, all sorts of ways for the mother to relinquish the baby voluntarily so that you're not actually physically taking the baby, but it's still, that separation is still happening, and the midwife is the one that is often in the room facilitating. The social worker may be there may be other family members, there may be a SCBU, paediatrician, there may be lots of other people involved at that time, but I think the midwife is key, and I think our role is undervalued. We don't talk about this, and this is another part of midwifery that I think needs highlighting. So when I talked about, named it disenfranchised grief, we know that parents, the evidence is that they do value empathy and genuine individualised care that's sensitive, and it's given in a sensitive location. Know that we need to create opportunities for parents to create memories for those first hours to support ongoing connection, and that's vital for the baby's well-being and for mother. And there is a recommendation in Debacker's work, and again with the Nuffield, around the recommendation for meaningful goodbyes and memories whilst promoting collaboration and compassion. So, as I said, some people, you know, we do rely heavily on mothers, birthing people, partners to take photographs. Lots of these photos get taken on mobile phones, and we know that these women also can have digital poverty. They may not have clouds, they may not have backup, they may not have storage, they may not have laptops. They may not have, I don't know how many people physically get photographs produced anymore. So by offering this photography to parents who are experiencing removal, it's one element of validating the relationship and having something physical that they can hold and relate to. So this is the governance part. This is where Sharon's work really came in. So I was the one with the idea about the photography, and Sharon was the one that really got down to the detail, made everything safe, made it happen, spoke to the right people in the right places, ensured that all the documentation was correct. So we needed governance, we needed safe editing and storage of the photographs. And that was an overriding theme throughout the planning of this. We sought expertise from information governance teams within midwifery, and we developed a consent form for the parents, which outlined who takes the photo, where the photo is used, and whom it would be shared with, and how it will be stored. And how it's done is that the photographs are immediately edited by myself. I send them to the safeguarding team. in via NHS email, one photograph at a time. Those photographs are then sent to our illustration team, our imaging team, who take photographs for all sorts of things around the hospital, and they agreed that they could give us 5 to 6 photographs for free. And then the digital copies are sent to the social worker, and they keep that digital copy for the baby in the baby's records in their forever journal. So the mum then, it's very time orientated. So the photographs I edit as soon as I can. I send on to the photography department, and they get those physically printed for mum before she goes home or is discharged. We had to manage costs, and that's important as well, to make it sustainable and to make it something that the hospital could also take on. So I volunteer my time and my editing skills for free, and the in-house medical photography department cover the cost of the hard print. So on the consent form, we say that the images will be shared, as I say, as part of the baby's life story work, and the social worker will have a copy. And then everything is removed. All the images are removed from my software and removed from the memory card. They are not uploaded to mother's medical records. And it states very clearly that no images will be available from midwifery if the original hard copies are lost or damaged. But the social worker has the digital copy, so the mother needs to go there. And also, we're very clear that these images go nowhere. They will only be shared if mum shares them or if the birthing person shares them. So if the mother has left the building and doesn't give consent for this, then usually the social worker in that instance would have shared parental responsibility. So they would give the consent, and they can be the ones holding the baby, or a colleague, or somebody in special care, or another family member, just as long as that baby has photographs of being held, being wanted, and being safe. So that's how we do it. So of course, well, as a photographer, I'm used to having photo sessions with people and taking hundreds of images, and then sitting with that person and going through and letting them choose their favourites, and tweaking here and there. So this is kind of one of the hardest parts, I suppose. One of the challenges for me is trying to keep this really simple, really quite a speedy process, allowing time with mum and baby, and letting her lead the session. But I will choose the images and get them sent back, because it would just add another layer of work with me to sit with mum and go through all the images. And I'm not sure that's particularly helpful at this time. And I wouldn't want to burden her with having to make that choice. Sometimes making choice, I mean, I don't know, when you've got 100 photographs of your child, you don't want to lose any of those images, but I can only give her 5 or 6 images, so I have to be very careful on how of the ones I choose and how they're sent. So the photograph sessions we take in the unit in the postnatal ward, and we go to a side room that's not occupied, or there are other areas that we will find, and this will happen before the separation or before they go to a mother and baby unit. I use natural light. We find a comfortable place to sit with baby, and we might, I just find out what she needs at that moment in time. So does she want to be in the photograph? Does she want perhaps a little bit of her, as you can see in this image, maybe there's an essence of mum in this photo. But she, for this purpose, we didn't identify the whole of mum. Sometimes they want that and they want to be seen completely with their baby, and other times it's like, no, just my hands, or a piece of jewellery perhaps that a baby was going to be given on their 13th birthday. So mum wanted that piece of jewellery in the picture but not herself. Also, I've had mums with their partners as well, and so there's like two hands sort of cradling the baby. What I've liked about doing that is that when I'm called to take these photographs, I no longer know the backstory. So when I was safeguarding, I knew all these families very well. So to then come in as a safeguarding midwife with a camera, I think may have been difficult. But now I'm coming in as a volunteer midwife. I don't need the backstory. I don't need to know what's happening. I just can be in the moment with mum, being able to give an unbiased, non-judgmental approach, concentrating just on the portrait, being there as a portrait photographer, and not there in another capacity. Also, I think, and this might resonate with some of you, that when a woman is in the bay, often everyone knows what's going on. And then we call the women out to go to a side room, and it's usually to go meet the social worker, or to have a discharge panel meeting, or to have a call group, or to go to court and be online. And that walk from the bay to somewhere else is termed as the walk of shame, where we would never obviously say that to the women, but I think as midwives, that again might be something that resonates with you. It's kind of like that feeling in the pit of your stomach that I've got to go around there and I've got to now take her out because we're going to go and deliver this news in a separate side room. So for me now coming in, it's a sort of a privilege to be able to say, okay, do you want to come with me now? And we're going to take these photographs with you and your baby. It's a really nice service to be able to offer. And so I just want to give you some samples of the photographs that I take. Obviously, time is an issue, as I've said. So there are two of us, myself and another midwife, Katie Holland, who take the photographs. And so we're just on call for when that happens. And I suppose my dream is that there'll be a midwife with a camera in every hospital, just able to offer this service in some way. My other dream that I have is that I'm that midwife and I'm coming around to all the hospitals in the UK, or maybe just the South and London, and I would be doing this. So you can see this very special baby here, and Mummy, and I believe Mummy is in the audience tonight, and these photographs were kindly portrayed by Emma, who's one of our safeguarding nurses, and she was completely behind the project and offered up baby Arthur to be my muse and take some images that I could share with you, because as I said, all of the photographs of the babies are not shared anywhere, even though, again, maybe in the future I could do some research or gain some other type. It's so difficult to gain consent at this time, as you know, but it would be lovely to be able, these are such, I feel that these are historical. They're a moment in time. Babies have been removed from mothers since year dot, and they're still being removed. And as I said at the beginning, it's 3,000 a year that are being removed. Now, it might be a very different situation that babies are being removed now, but they are still being removed. And the pain and the loss is still as deep as it always was. I had one mother who, when I offered some photography, said that due to the domestic abuse situation she was in, she didn't have a phone because he wouldn't allow her to have a smartphone. So that really, for her, was a real gift to be able to give her some images. And also a story from a great-grandmother who, in the 1940s, had her baby removed. She was a teenage mother and unmarried, and that was the reason. So 6 months after giving birth and being in a mother and baby unit, she had one photograph of her baby, and she said that when she got home, her mum felt that probably wasn't, she didn't want her to get all maudlin over having the picture of the baby around, so she removed it, and she never saw that photograph again or her baby. And that great-grandmother's now in her 80s, and that pain is still very real. So these photographs, I'm hoping that we offer now, can go some way to provide some comfort, provide some support, provide some real acknowledgement of that moment. You can see that some of these images are, say, hands and feet, or showing an essence of mum's hair, or a full photograph with mum kissing baby. And each image and each session that I've done is very different. The very first session I did, I remember when I got the pictures back thinking how mum was so detached, and how I had to really help support her in how to hold the baby, and where to put her hands, and how to just how to be. And yet afterwards, when she saw the images, she wanted them blown up life size and put on her bedroom wall because she loved them so much. But to me, I just really saw that impact of the bonding and attachment, and how it wasn't there because she was just so afraid, because she knew that this baby wasn't going home with her. And then other mothers, again, that just haven't wanted to be in the image, but are happy for a part of them to be shown. I think for this to be successful in where you're working, I think I believe that this is a midwife, a midwife who can take a photograph is the right person to be doing this. I do know in some places that medical imaging people do come in, but it's moments like the bonding and attachment, and the and how to hold and how to be with baby, that I think a midwife really brings in that extra layer of support, and extra ways of knowing, really. You have to be available. You have to be on call and ready to come at a moment's notice, and yeah, as I say, I do it on a volunteer basis, and for me that works. What I also would like to see the project grow into is perhaps that we have a platform, that those midwives that are doing it, that we can share stories with each other, that we have a safe space, that I could provide some safeguarding supervision, so that if there is a particularly difficult case, that we're able to have a safe place to debrief on that together. So really, this is a call to midwives with cameras around the UK to get in touch, to find out how you could offer this type of service, replicate what we do in your hospital, ensure that you get support and supervision from your safeguarding team until this project can grow, and until I can hopefully support that. I believe it validates the birth relationship with mother, birthing person, and the baby. And this is a true representation of art and science of midwifery through the lens. And one day, hopefully, I'll be able to share some real true images with everyone, if we're able to gain consent in a really compassionate way. Because, as I said, I believe that midwives are the ones that can provide that direction, support, and the right interaction in these photo sessions that probably have never been captured before. So for those of you that need the references, I've got them here. And also, it's the Nuffield that I was relating to, that's Mason in 2023, and it was called Born into Care, the best practice guidance. And at the bottom there are contacts for myself and for Sharon, and there is a gallery where you can see these photographs again of beautiful baby Arthur and his mummy, and my gallery is called On Pixie Set. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gaynor. Would you put up the slide with all the references again? Because for those of you watching, and some of them people will be very familiar with, like the embrace. Some of them are more kind of specialized, aren't they? So you might need to do a bit of tracking down, but you can find these all online if you've got the reference there, and especially with the title and the authors. So that's really fascinating, actually, Gaynor, because there's so much in there about, and it is very much a compassionate project. Now I'm just going to check. We can go back to having two of us speaking now. I think that's what's happened now, which is lovely. I think that's what everyone's getting is us here. So that's fantastic. I mean, I was very interested in the very practical stuff around this, Gaynor, like the pictures, because I was thinking about this. Everyone has got the mobile phone. We walk about with these all the time, but I'm assuming that there's a bit of a data protection issue around using your own phone rather than using the unit camera. And I wonder if you can just sort of highlight that, because I think some people may not realize about the implications of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, like anything, if there was any, like I've seen pediatricians use phones to take photographs if, when a baby's been marked by a scalpel, and also the Google glasses where you can tip your head and they take a photograph. So these are another issue that we're having in the workplace, where women might be filmed, maybe having photographs taken from perpetrators or from clinical people without realizing. So yeah, I think that we need to be very careful around how we take the photographs and where we store them, and that's why governance was so important, and that's Sharon's speciality of getting that really the nuts and bolts. I can go around fluttering and being creative going, we need to do this immediately, but Sharon's like, hang on, Gaynor, let's do the dry stuff. It's like the Head and Shoulders advert, now for the science bit. So yeah, Sharon did all that work, which was amazing, because that attention to detail is definitely her bag. Yeah, I would definitely, if you're thinking about doing this, then yeah, speak to your governance team and find out, and the wording as well. As I say, for me, the consent form, it was really basic, really easy to follow, and it absolutely is crucial that the only people that have this photograph is the mother and is the social worker.
Yeah,
and it's gone medical records as well.
Yeah, I mean that was really helpful to understand that there's not all these photographs floating around, because of course sometimes you can imagine putting loads of photos in mum's notes and them being lost forever, whereas you've obviously as a governance team have worked out what the best system is, and so really, if you're thinking about doing this, and this is to our audience, because we do have very innovative, lively audiences out there who do like to carry things forward. If you were going to do this, you have to take seriously the governance and making sure you got the system set up, because it's not something you can just start off and then abandon, because these women are so vulnerable and their little babies are so vulnerable, and it's a kind of, you have to get your compassion into overdrive, which Gaynor illustrates beautifully, that she's kind of on call at the moment. She's on call every night just in case. So it's kind of, that's quite a big kind of donation that you're giving of yourself. So you have to be serious about it, and presumably you need a bit of skill with a camera and a good digital camera that will be kept safe in the unit. Am I right?
Yes, and also I think in most units the bereavement team have this.
Of course, yes, of course.
they have it. So even if you don't have, you don't want to use your own, then use what you have in the hospital. They, the bereavement team, midwives as well, have taken beautiful photographs, for those mothers. And there is that project, the organisation called, my grey brain's gone. Remember My Baby, and I remember meeting the person who ran that. He did a talk, and it was incredible, and the images were so powerful and beautiful. And I did wonder whether I could piggyback off them and join their organisation, but then again, this is disenfranchised grief, a very different grief, and I didn't think that was the right platform. So I think there is opportunity for this to grow. It could become a charity, it could become a community of practice, but at the moment it's just me and my camera going to our local hospital for our local women, because it is a big ask, as you say. It happens about once a month, and I know, and I've been given the heads up a few days before, so I don't, so that on call, it sounds grander than it is. I do know, I know that potential on Friday.
Yeah.
For example. So it's not like my case loading days. I assure everyone about that. This is not
It's a slightly easier task, but I mean, the skills you need are the photography bit, but also the very human skills, the very non-judgmental skills, which midwives do have, but they also have their human skills behind as well, which can, you need, and I would suspect sometimes you need to offload on people. Do you find that if there's, or maybe it's because you're taking a very photographic role. Maybe it doesn't.
It's still interesting because I think because we've had such, I was in the team for 15 years. So we worked together so closely on so many high risk cases and really complex cases. So it doesn't take much to get an inkling when you go in of what you're dealing with. And I do need a safe space to be able to share that with and offload that with. And I have the team around me. So the safeguarding team are amazing. We've got a perinatal mental health team we work really closely with, and they are amazing. The paediatric team, as you can see, are incredible because, even Emma's just like, here's my baby, everyone was on board. And so I do feel, again, work like this, you need the support. This is not a one-man band. This is a one-woman band, one midwife band. This is not me, floating in and out the camera. This is well considered, good structure, good governance, safe, practical, but very compassionate.
No, that's grand. It's absolutely so. And I'm just wondering, how much time does this take? You're talking about taking the mum and baby along to this side room, setting up. How much time?
I'm led by the mum, and I have, I know that I've blanked out Friday afternoon, so it will take as long as it takes. But yourself, like when you're at a wedding or when you're, anywhere and you're having photos taken, there's only so many that you want to sit and choose for. Exactly. And babies as well, they can become fractious. You've got a very limited time. So, the baby and the mum will lead me. And I'll know, and as I say, I can't spend too long with them because the longer I'm there, the more I'll take. And then the more choice I have, the harder it is for me to choose.
Well, I have to say that resonated with me big time. And any of us that take photos, I've got thousands on my camera, thousands. And to delete one or two is quite painful. So I could imagine you as a photographer, and also, I mean, you're making the choice in a way for the mum about which photos to keep. So you're obviously keeping the most beautiful ones and the ones that don't, that you could. But summing up 5 or 6 photographs must be incredibly difficult.
It is, and deleting them is just it breaks my heart. Literally, it's the hardest thing because they're beautiful. And as I say, and I really think they this is an unseen story. It's an untold story. And I would, these images are so powerful. And I could, I think that they're worthy to be in the National Gallery. I think they're worthy to be seen and talked about and explored and adored and understood. And for women to and for women to know that how compassionate and people are around this, that when I talk about the project, people aren't dismissive. They're not, people think it's a beautiful thing. And I don't think the women would ever know that.
No, that's really important. I mean, the other thing I had, actually, tell me about the baby journal. This is something I don't know about so well.
So yes, with social workers, they set up a journal, and like the Red Book. So you would put the milestones in there, and when they first giggled, and when they first did this and this, photographs. And it's a journal then that the social work team will continue with the foster parent or then the adopted parent, and then that baby will have that memory book, if you like. So this feeds in, because again, I remember years ago talking to a social worker and saying about this is what we want to do. And they said, oh, that's really nice, but we rely on the foster parents to take pictures, and they take the pictures. And it just wasn't enough because I didn't know, like we say, we all take loads of pictures, but who develops them? Who has them physically to hold? And these women have digital poverty. So we can't be guaranteed that phone gets lost, broken, stolen, the partner takes it. Those images are gone. And also, if her baby's being removed, they're not the kind of photographs that she will be putting on Facebook, social media, or showing her family because of the shame and the shame. So, these are for her.
So in a way, the baby, I mean, that's really, I didn't know that, which is, I'm ashamed to say I didn't know about a memory. I love this idea. I mean, it's actually, what I'm thinking of now is all these people who were in intensive care during COVID and had these accounts written by people who knew what happened and how incredibly important that was. And having a memory book for these children who might think they've just been abandoned or just been taken away and their mums didn't care, and you kind of know they do care, and how painful that is. To have that precious kind of story is very special. It's wonderful. And I guess the mum's little story is not, it's a short story, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if she's got 5 or 6 pictures, that's all she's got.
Yes.
And the memory of the birth and the memory of, which is obviously very intense for women, because women do remember their birth and they remember their babies.
They hold, as I say, with that great grandmother, that's 70 years ago. And it's still very real, very raw. And because women don't forget, and again, I think that's the privilege of a midwife. Women will always, and birthing people will always tell you their stories. And I remember a friend's mum saying to me that about a baby she'd lost, and my friend was saying, I never knew. She never told me that. She had 3 boys, and now she's able to tell you, but she's never told me. So I do think that's our privilege, that we get to hear these stories.
Yeah. No. That's fantastic. I mean, the other thing is how feedback you get from the mums immediately and later on. How's that evaluated, or is that?
We can't,
because it's very much a project.
It's very much a project. It's not a research. I would love to, again, this is my PhD in the making. If only there were time, Sue.
Yes.
So I think to know the impact that these photographs have in the future would be really lovely. To know in 20 years' time what that meant for the baby would be amazing. But I'm never going to know. I've just got to accept that what I do right now, I know will have an impact, but real true impact on an individual basis, I'll never know.
Yeah, gosh, that's hard not knowing the whole full story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gosh, that is hard. I thought Emma and Arthur were beautiful. Thank you, Emma. And thank you, Arthur. They're beautiful, beautiful photos. I just think anyone watching will want those photos for them, that degree of photos, because they're just so beautiful and meaningful. And I mean, I keep thinking of 3,000 babies being taken away. So how many? So how many? That would be. That's 12 or 14 babies a year that you're looking after.
Yeah, and we have about 3,000 births a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an average for us. It's more in the north of England.
Yeah.
But that's the general average.
Yeah, I was also, as I was listening to you, I was thinking, what happens during the antenatal period for these mums who might know that their babies are going to be taken into care? Is there anything antenatally? I mean, I might be kind of providing a bit more of a project for you, Gaynor, as if you haven't got enough to do. But you know how, pregnant women, when you're pregnant and you want to sort of, you take photos of your bump growing and you look at yourself in the mirror, maybe take a photo of you that you're growing. I don't know. Does any of that get shared with you when you're doing the photographs?
It's an interesting thought. Maybe it is something I could discuss with the safeguarding team. I don't think I've ever talked about it before with the women, not encouraged it, but again, some people are so disassociated and not bonding, or they don't know because of the risk and the flight risk and the safety risks. These decisions have been making at birth. So, for some people, they may have just been going through pregnancy just like everyone else. Or for people that are going to relinquish their babies, often they've had quite scant antenatal care, or it's a concealed pregnancy, so you wouldn't necessarily have that.
You wouldn't be taking photos, I guess. No, that's oh my goodness, that's very heavy. And when you were talking about the midwife being the one to take the baby, that's very much so. It's kind of and describing how you're going on that walk with them with the baby, that kind of felt quite really positive, as though it's almost like cancelling out. Well, it's not completely, obviously, because they're still losing their babies through that way, but kind of more like one of the things you'd be proud of, having your photos done, and it's sort of like being a normal mum and baby.
Yes, absolutely. It's just having that, being recognised as a mother in that moment, I think is really important.
Yeah, gosh. This is very powerful. So what's the next step then, Gaynor?
PhD funding everywhere in the UK. Women's Hour.
Oh gosh.
Golden Need, lottery funding.
Oh, crikey.
It's all in my brain about getting this would be amazing if this could grow and this become more than just me and my camera in one trust. I have reached out to other trusts that are local, but I'm very mindful of again about my capacity. I don't want to offer something that I then can't deliver.
It is. The whole process, and I thank you so much for sharing the whole process, especially the governance and the sort of very practical issues that we have to think about on taking on this sort of role, because it's a fantastic project in that what it offers a very vulnerable group of women and babies who otherwise would be kind of suffer even more than they're going to suffer. So thank you so much for sharing with us your project, and I wish you the very best of luck. And I'll say to the audience, I've known Gaynor for a long time, and I used to use one of her photos. I don't know if you remember, Gaynor, the one with the babies all in a circle. For a long time. So Gaynor has a very a fantastic eye, which is why she's a fantastic photographer. She's got a very good eye for mums and babies, and babies especially, and getting that sort of moment. And I get very envious of those sort of skills. So thank you so much for sharing the skills. So if there's any skilled midwives out there who want to kind of carry this sort of thing forward, get in touch with Gaynor. You may, use the skills in one way or t'other, but it would be wonderful to grow this sort of thing for this group of mums and babies. And thank you so much, Gaynor, for sharing this with us. Now, I'm going to also now say a big thank you also to Matflix for the recording bit. I'm going to say thank you again to Gaynor, who's used her time so precious to her for us, and thank you for that. I'm going to thank Angelo, who's in the background. Now, he's the one making sure everything's being recorded beautifully, so that if you want to play this again, you'll be able to. Perfect. And also share with your colleagues. I think this would be a really good thing for people to discuss, because this is something really very important for a very vulnerable group of women and babies. So, we can do a lot. And Gaynor's shown what you can do if you're really determined. Straightforward. Thank you also to Paul in the background with the Facebook Live. Now, next week, I need to say, resources available now. You should have access to those. This will be available at 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday for those of you who like a podcast. And I know there's a whole gang of you that do, so that'd be good. But also, this will also come out in the newsletter. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, it's free to the newsletter. This is the sort of thing you get, funnily enough. Gaynor actually wrote an article there. So for those of you who might be doing an essay or assignment for university, it's great, because you could use this as a nice reference, or this very evening. But this is a sort of source of information, that the Maternity Midwifery Forum newsletter on a Thursday. So the link to this session will come out there. So that's useful to know. Now, next week, we've got Louise Nuttall and Beth Mallory, who are going to be sharing their work. It's interesting because there's a wee link here in the language around baby loss. So that'll be a little sad, but it'd be useful for us to get our skills around and our heads around. So in the meantime, a big thank you to everyone for coming along this evening, and thank you again to Gaynor. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you same time, same place next week, and take care.
These awards, as you know, are a celebration of achievement, effort, change, innovation, management, insight, and the many other traits necessary to sustain a proud profession like midwifery and consistent services in maternity.
We invite people to nominate a colleague or a student or a manager, whatever, where they think that person's real trailblazers.
And it's really a celebration of all that's good in midwifery and maternity care.
They recognise individuals, they recognise teams, management and educators. Anyone who values excellence and makes improvements. They are essentially a celebration of all of your achievements. So, shall we get on with it? What you do with your day-to-day lives, I just admire you hugely. If you do want to nominate a colleague, a friend, maybe yourself, please speak to the organisers and visit the website, and I really hope that we'll see you at that.
Okay, now the first award is.
What's something I don't know.
We have had a 40% caesarean section rate in the National Maternity Hospital. That is major abdominal surgery.
Around 40,000 mums did not return to work in 2022. It's even more relevant if you're a mum who's experienced birth trauma.
We spend more money on litigation than we currently spend on the maternity services. It's bonkers.
It's in all of our interests, and particularly the government, to improve maternity services.
We can't achieve our mission unless we bring parents and professionals together.
A revolution needs to happen. We need to start working together.
I know it's a hard time, but for goodness sake, it's the best profession in the world.
Be proud to be midwives, be proud of the job that we do, and continue to celebrate our successes.
Midwives make a difference to women every single day, and let's not lose that. It's more important than anything.
Welcome to Matflix, video streaming from maternity experts. My name is Dr. Jenny Hall. I am the box set's curator at Matflix, a fellow of the Royal College of Midwives and a former editor of The Practicing Midwife. At Matflix, we bring together videos of talks from top maternity experts into box sets to support your continued professional development, study and revalidation. It is a perfect study accompaniment for midwives, maternity professionals, midwifery students and anyone thinking about a career in the maternity services. My job is bringing together the latest thinking area by area so you do not have to. Not only do you get the video of brilliant talks and relevant content in thematic box sets, you also get access to the audio version so you can listen on the commute or while you walk the dog. Plus links to the latest research in the relevant field, government policy documents, the presenter's PowerPoint and more besides. Sign up to Matflix now for the best video streaming from maternity experts.
You're thinking, but I've never read about these midwives in the Bible, and that's because they didn't make it into the Gospels. Why was it that we nurses, midwives, seem so invisible to the doctors, to the media?
An amazing midwife said to me, you can't be what you haven't seen. These are the world's most researched probiotic, and we can say that with confidence because we've done over 300 clinical trials on this little bottle of goodness.
These awards, as you know, are a celebration of achievement, effort, change, innovation, management, insight, and the many other traits necessary to sustain a proud profession like midwifery and consistent services in maternity.
We invite people to nominate a colleague or a student or a manager, whatever, where they think that person's real trailblazers.
And it's really a celebration of all that's good in midwifery and maternity care.
They recognise individuals, they recognise teams, management and educators. Anyone who values excellence and makes improvements. They are essentially a celebration of all of your achievements. So, shall we get on with it? What you do with your day-to-day lives, I just admire you hugely. If you do want to nominate a colleague, a friend, maybe yourself, please speak to the organisers and visit the website, and I really hope that we'll see you at that.
Okay, now the first award is...
What's nothing? I don't know.
We have had a 40% caesarean section rate in the National Maternity Hospital. That is major abdominal surgery.
Around 40,000 mums did not return to work in 2022. It's even more relevant if you're a mum who's experienced birth trauma.
We spend more money on litigation than we currently spend on the maternity services. It's bonkers.
That it's in all of our interests, and particularly the government, to improve maternity services.
We can't achieve our mission unless we bring parents